about what it can do. And if you haven't, then again, you'll find out some information about what it can do. So the iPad is Apple's tablet. Okay, they're called a tablet, and they come in different sizes. They come in sort of like a 7-inch, a 9.7-inch, a 10-inch, and a 11.5-inch. They're all different sort of sizes, but essentially they're like a very large mobile phone. That's how I call them. And they offer great flexibility in being able to access a whole range of information that historically we've all used a computer or a laptop to do things that we now do on a tablet or a smartphone. And using the iPad initially, if you've got poor vision, can be quite difficult because the text is very, very small on the screen. And so it's one of the first things I would want to know how to do is to magnify that screen. Now, for those of you that would like to magnify the screen, it's not as straightforward as I think it probably could be. Okay, so you need to use 3 fingers to do this and to make it easier to see. Now, I've already set mine up. I'll show you where to go to set it up. But initially, I'll set mine up. So my icon's on the screen here.
Oh, you might just need to move just slightly back from your camera, just slightly back, then we can see that. Yeah. See the iPad better.
I'm trying to hold this in one hand. We'll use the other hand too.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my magnifier enabled. I'm just going to turn it on here. So I'll just turn my magnifier on, and you may or may not be able to see that the icons have gone very large. Okay, I can make them even larger. See how large these icons are? So I've made them really large. But the downside of using something like this magnification is that you only get a certain amount on the screen at any one time. I'll go into my settings app and show you what I mean. Open settings. So here's my settings app. And I'm having to go up and down the screen to see what is actually in there with magnification turned on. So I'm covering this first because I don't think it's that useful, personally, for someone that's got very bad vision. But you can control the size of this, the magnification, and you can have it in like a lens format where you see just a particular section of the screen. But magnification, I'm just going to turn it off for a second, is turned on by going into settings on your iPad. And down the left-hand side of the screen, you will find an option called accessibility. So if I activate that, and on the right-hand side of the screen, there are all the different accessibility features. And the one I'm looking at here is called Zoom, Z-O-O-M. And you have to turn this on or off by going into it. So I'm going to go into it. And at the top of the screen in here, in Zoom, you have an option to turn it on or off. It's just at the top.
Gary, I can't find accessibility.
It's an accessibility.
I can't find it.
How old is your iPad?
Oh, this one's about, the iPad that I'm using for the call is a new 2 years old. This one's about 6, 7 years old.
Okay, so you're going to need to go into General.
Yes.
You found it?
I'm trying to, yeah. Yes, I've got General. Oh, right, accessibility is in there.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, so my handout will be assuming that you're using a newer version of than your particular iPad there. And,
right, okay.
But yeah, it's in General. On older versions, it's under General.
No, that's fine. That's lovely. Okay. Thank you.
And there's a button at the top of the screen to turn it on. I'm just going to find it. So at the top right of the screen, there's a little button that you tap to turn it on. And then when you've turned it on, you can adjust some of the settings to Zoom in that screen. So you can say how large you'd like the magnification to be. You can say whether you want to see it in the whole screen or just part of the screen, and one or two other things in there as well. Personally, this is my personal feeling, I think if you need it very large, it's going to slow you right down using the magnification. There are some other features that we can have a look at in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to turn mine off. So I've turned it off. Okay, I'll go back out of it. Now, staying in that accessibility screen, there are some nicer features in there that you can use to make the text bigger, but this will only affect certain applications on your iPad. And this is in what's called display and text size. So staying in accessibility, display and text size, I'll find it here. So I'm going to go into display and text size and have a look at some things in here. Now, one thing in here that I would recommend that you try to make things a bit easier is what's called inverting the colors. So basically changing the colors from black on white to white on black. Because for certain eye conditions, that is a better way of reading the text. Not everybody likes it, but I'm going to show you it here. So I've just changed that option there to what's called Smart Invert. So it changes the background color to black and the foreground color to white. And all the pictures, if you have any pictures, they stay as originals. They're not negative, like they're reversed. The pictures stay the same. So this feature is actually quite good, and I actually quite like it. But another feature in this same screen is what's called large text. I'm just going to find that. So my larger text option at the minute is off. I'm going to turn that on. Now, I can actually adjust the text size in this screen so that if I'm using my email or my messages or my notes application, the text will be large. Not magnified like the previous option where you have to move around the screen. Just the area where you type and read will be larger. I'm just going to set it to a decent size. Right. So I've now changed I've put reverse the colors, and I've made the text larger. So I'm going to go into it on my email here. And let's have a look, see what it looks like. So this is now larger than what it was previously. I'm just going to go to an article. Okay, just find some text here. I'm just finding some text to put on the screen. And the text on the screen here has changed in size. Now, if I was to turn that larger text option off, that text would be really, really small. Okay, so the larger text option found under accessibility and display and text size is probably one thing you'd want to have a look at to start off with if you're struggling to see the screen. It can make a big difference. So when you go into larger text, there's a little slide bar at the bottom, and you can slide the bar to how much larger than normal you'd like the text to be. It goes from 0% to 100%. So basically 100% is about 3 times larger than the original size. Okay, so I'm going to put the color back to white on black on white. Let's just go back to my settings app.
Gary, which apps don't support this or which ones do? You said some don't.
Say that again, please.
You said that some of the apps
Yeah.
don't support that.
Yeah, it's
Do
only
you know
it's
which
only
ones?
the Apple apps. It's only the Apple apps. So, for example, notes, messages, email. If you wanted WhatsApp to be bigger, that wouldn't work in WhatsApp.
Okay.
So it's only the ones that come with your iPad.
Okay, thank you.
Now, there are ways of getting other things bigger, which I'll look at shortly as well. But so from a magnification point of view, you've got that zoom feature, which we looked at briefly earlier, which makes everything on the screen bigger. But the consequence of that is you have to move around the screen to find things. This larger text will make the text larger in the Apple apps that come with the iPad or the iPhone, indeed, whichever one you're using. For things like WhatsApp and web pages, there are different approaches to be taken. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this color back to the normal color.
Gary, while you're doing that, is there, you know, when you use Hotmail, would it make the print bigger in the Hotmail or only on the Apple Mail?
Only on the Apple Mail. But,
okay.
But there is an option, which I'll show you shortly.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go back here. I just found something I want to look at. I've just found it. Okay, I was going to go back to my email, show you this. So that text is now larger. I hadn't turned the text on earlier before, but it's larger, and you can go quite large with it. You can go 2 or 3 times the original size. I'll just turn that color off. Go back. I am using what's called VoiceOver for myself here. That's why I've got my headphones in, so you guys can't hear it. So I will take the headphones out shortly and plug them in, because you're going to need to hear what's going on. So we've gone back to the standard option. Okay. Now in here, in the display and text size, you can make everything bold. So you can make the text denser, if you like, but that will often require you to restart your iPad once you've done it. So it's not a big issue. You just turn bold on, turn your iPad off and then back on again, and all the text will be in bold. And that can be quite a help to people too. The downside of it, of course, is if something is in bold in an article, something that's bold, you're not going to tell the difference between whether it's, you know, emphasized or not. But we don't normally care too much about that. It's more about reading the information rather than the emphasis of the information. I'm going to come out of this particular section. So the magnification and font options are pretty basic, if you ask me. You know, they can do things that are reasonably better. but nothing that's absolutely fantastic. To be honest with you, if your site is as bad as mine, you would not get much out of using magnification or changing the text size. It'd be more about using the screen reader that's built into the Apple devices. But let's have a look at something slightly different before we look at the screen reader. There's an option called spoken content. Now, I'm sure that some of you might have used this already. Has anyone ever used that option where you just slide 2 fingers down the screen and it reads stuff out to you?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone use that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the downside to that is that you can't really pause it. It just keeps reading, doesn't it? You can't stop it. But there is a feature called spoken content, which is really, really useful. And I'm going to put it on here and show you this. So I'm in accessibility, and I'm going to go to spoken content. Here it is. I'll just go into that. And in here, there's an option to use what's called a controller. So a controller is like a little toolbar that's got icons on it. Now, this would require you to have a little bit of vision. You wouldn't be able to do this without any vision, but let's just see how it works. I'm just going to... So I've now turned the speech controller on. Going to check it. Now, what you might be able to see is at the top right corner of the iPad, there's a black square. Can anyone see that? Trisha, can you see that? Trish?
Yes, sorry, I was muted still.
That's okay. Can you see the black square at the top there?
I can indeed, yes.
Yeah, that's what's called the controller. So I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to go into the BBC News app. Okay, and I hope this works. There's BBC News. So the controller, I'm going to rely on Trish because you've got good eyesight. Is that controller still there?
Yes.
Yep. So I'm going to turn off VoiceOver here. Before I do that, I'm just going to find the controller. So I've put a speaking bar on the screen there. Can you see that? Trish?
If you could lift the, I don't know what a speaking bar would look like.
It's like a toolbar with some icons on it.
No.
Okay, let me go to a different app that's got better contrast. This is because it's black on dark red. Go to a different app.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So where my finger is, there's a
Yes, I can see that now.
there's a bar there, isn't there?
Yes.
Now the middle one, let's just find it. That one, if I was to double tap it, or so just to tap it, sorry, it will start reading the screen. So I'm going to unplug my iPhone, my iPad, and I'm going to put it into my large speaker so we can all hear this. Just check we've got the sound coming out of it. So it's like Blue Peter, isn't it? You know, here's what I did earlier.
Battery 80%.
Best of the week.
Right.
Actions available.
So this bar here.
To Film's technology mail. To speak screen. Fast forward. Then play button.
I can play that.
Play. From Apple News address to SF's technology at iCloud.com. The 9th of July 2022. Boris Johnson's Mixed Legacy. Apple News Plus Best of the Week. Unmissable stories chosen by our editors. Analysis. Article image. Boris Johnson's mixed legacy. He achieved almost nothing, argues Tom McTague, except for one very big male, VT90's male, Atlantic Arrow, who could replace him as PM. ITV News Arrow Psychology.
Okay.
Article image. Apple News Plus. Speed screen. Pathological liar. Fast manipulative button. Play.
And I touch the pause button. So on this bar, this is called the speaking bar. There is a play button in the center. It's like an arrowhead pointing to the right. That is play. And if you tap that, it will play. And if you want to pause it, you tap it again and it will pause. If you use the two finger swipe down option, which is available, it's not easy to stop the speech. You don't have any control over it. It just keeps going. There is another option here. I'm going to turn VoiceOver off.
VoiceOver off.
Is on the left-hand side, there's a picture of a hand. Okay. I'm going to try and see this because I'll turn my speech off now. So this is like the blind leading the blind here. Let's have a little look. Okay, I think I've got it. So I've touched that. Let's just try again. I knew this would be a bit of a disaster. Let's just bring it back on.
VoiceOver on. Wednesday, Mayor, VT90s, VT9, page 205. Article image, arrow, who could replace?
I've lost my
Speed
speech.
screen. Expand speaking bar. Mail. Psychology. Speak screen. Minimize speaking bar. Button. Speak on touch. Dim.
Right.
Button. VoiceOver off.
Struggling a bit here. What I'm going to show you
VoiceOver on.
is
Mail.
this bit here.
Apple News Plus. Article image. Link. Who could remove? Compose. Button.
Looking for that speaking bar.
Speak. Expand speaking bar.
So the
Minimize
hand,
speaking bar.
when I put my
Button.
hand, when I touch the hand, I can then
Mail.
use my finger
Psychology.
to
Actions
slide
available.
around the screen.
Article image. Link. Image. Actions available. Article image. Link. Article image. Apple News Plus. Link. Article image. Link.
So what,
Image.
when I touch that hand icon, which is not being particularly well done here because I can't see it without the voice on. And as soon as I turn the voice on, that becomes unavailable. Let me just try one more time.
Speak screen. Minimize speaking bar. Button. FaceTime. App switcher. Home. App settings. Active. Mail. Inbox. Speak screen. Minimize speaking bar. Button. Minimize speak on touch. Dim. Button. VoiceOver off. Article image.
There we go. So what should happen is when I touch that, the speaking bar, no, I'm not going to get that to do that.
VoiceOver on.
I'm not going to get to do that very
Two.
successfully.
Text
So that speaking
edited.
bar that pops up,
Insertion point at
there's a
start.
picture of a hand, and you touch it with one finger, and then you just slide your finger down the screen, and whatever is underneath your finger will be read aloud by the voice. So you've got a bit more control over what is being read out to you, as opposed to it just reading continuously. So I actually like that option, but my vision's quite bad now. I can't really take advantage of it. So you do need to have, I'd say, enough vision to see that speaking bar and to see the hand. I think most of us in this group would have that vision. And then you can just slide your finger around the screen, and it's really good. Now, that is in my document I'm going to send out, so don't worry too much if my demonstration was rather pathetic there. Okay, so that option is one for someone that likes to have things read out to them, but can also read the screen to a degree themselves. The next option is one that I use all the time, and it's called VoiceOver. And I'm just going to turn this off.
FaceTime.
So VoiceOver is actually running on this iPad now. I've got it turned on now. And the idea behind VoiceOver is if you've got no vision or very, very bad vision, you can find out what's on the screen by touching what the icons or any part of the screen, really. Just touch it and it will tell you. So for example, my icons here, I'm going to touch one here.
FaceTime.
It tells me that's FaceTime. I'll touch another one.
Calendar. Photos. Calendar. Wednesday the 27th of July. Photos. Contacts.
So each
Camera.
of these icons that I touch, it tells you what they are. It doesn't go ahead and activate it. It just gives me the opportunity of finding out what they are. I can navigate them quite quickly as well. If I touch the first one.
FaceTime.
Now, imagine that as a fly have landed on that screen. I wanted to flick it off. I can do that motion and I will move to the next icon and the voice will tell me what it is. Here we go.
Calendar. Wednesday the 27th of July. Photos. Camera. Contacts.
So I can now find out what's on my screen.
Clock. 11:33. Maps. Home. Notes. Reminders.
And so on. So I'm gonna go to BBC News here.
News. Stocks. TV. iTunes Store. App Store. Books. BBC iPlayer. Podcasts. BBC News.
So that's BBC News. Now, if I want to open BBC News, all I need to do is with one finger, tap the screen twice, but I have to tap the screen twice very quickly. And it's not a stab motion. It's a really gentle tap. So I'm going to just tap the screen twice. I'm just going to tap anywhere on the screen. I don't have to tap on the BBC News icon. So I'll just do that here. And there's BBC News.
Menu. Button.
Okay, and I can, with my one finger, swiping that fly off the screen, I can read one article heading to the next article heading. Here we go.
Top stories. Heading. Sunak supporters deny U-turn in row over VAT cut. UK politics. Tory leadership hopeful vows more help with bills, but rival Liz Truss brands are moved desperate. Button.
Okay, and it tells me at the very end, it says button, which indicates that there's more inside that. Let's read the next headline.
Joyful Lionesses as they reach Euro 2022 final. Football. The praise pours in as England seal Wembley Place with a 4-0 victory over Sweden at Bramall Lane. Button.
I'm going to slow it down because it's quite fast.
Headings. Language. Kids. Sounds. Speaking rate. 50%. Kids. Language.
And I'll read the next one.
All. Vicky Campbell. School abuse still haunts me. This page has updated. Vicky Campbell. School abuse still haunts me. UK. The presenter reveals for the first time that he was the victim of abuse at a Scottish private school. Button.
Okay, if I wanted to read that article in full, I just tap the screen once with my finger.
Vicky Campbell. Video player. Vicky Campbell. School abuse still haunts me. Heading.
And I can read this article in its entirety.
Vicky Campbell. 1 hour ago. UK. Link. Broadcaster Vicky Campbell has revealed for the first time that he was the victim of abuse at a private school.
So with two fingers, I just touch the screen. I can pause it, and I touch the screen again with two fingers, and it will restart.
In Edinburgh during the 1970s.
Okay, there we go.
Broadcaster Vicky Campbell has revealed for the first time that he was the victim of abuse at a private school in Edinburgh during the 1970s. The 61-year-old told his BBC Sound podcast that
with two fingers and resume with two fingers.
Link. He witnessed and experienced sexual and violent.
So this feature, VoiceOver, can be really, really good if you've got to the stage with your vision that you really can't manage print. The downside of using VoiceOver is that it will take a bit of learning. You know, there are quite a few finger movements and finger presses to learn. Having said that, there's probably about 20. So that's not a lot really, if it's going to give you access to your iPad. And if you with dedication and practice, you could use VoiceOver to do a lot of things. I can change the voices on VoiceOver. Let's have a look at some of the voices.
Words, characters, links, headings, language.
English. US.
This is an American voice, so it's not going to be as nice, I don't think.
He told BBC Radio 5 Live the abuse had a profound effect on my life and had been obsessing me.
So not the nicest voice. Let's try another one.
South African English.
South African.
The Academy wholeheartedly apologized and said it had helped police.
And Irish.
Irish English.
I love this lady. She's fantastic.
It was after his wife heard another BBC podcast, In Dark Corners, which explores abuse at Britain's private schools, that Campbell decided to contact the producer and reveal what he knew about the Edinburgh Academy.
And back to
English, Australia.
Australian.
Introducing this 5 Live show, Campbell told listeners he was about to discuss a difficult subject, adding, I know I am amongst friends, but I may have a wobble, but I know you'll be with me.
And I'll go back to the normal voice.
English UK. Characters.
I can read this text one character at a time or one word at a time. Let's do characters here.
Have I. N. T. R. O. D. U. C. I. N.
That's
G.
introducing. I'll do words.
Dot words. This. 5. Live. Show. Campbell. Told. Listeners. He. Was. About. To. Discuss. A. Difficult. Subject.
So it's flexibility built into this screen reader is amazing, because although I wouldn't ordinarily want to read something character by character, it does allow me to interrogate the spelling of a word or a telephone number or an email address that's on the screen. I can spell it out to myself. So I think that becomes really, really important for someone who uses a screen reader like me. Is anyone here? I know somebody's using VoiceOver in this group at the moment. You can unmute yourself if you want to. There was a lady using VoiceOver earlier on. Who was that? Deadly quiet. Okay, don't worry about it. But
Mine went on accidentally.
Yeah, it's back on now, you can talk.
Oh, she's talking.
have you used VoiceOver for quite a while on your iPad?
No.
I didn't
No.
even know it existed.
Talking to her now.
I was listening to you and tapping things, and all of a sudden it spoke. But I've forgotten how I did it.
Okay, so
Hi,
VoiceOver-
hi, this is Pam back. You couldn't hear me because I'd muted my
Yeah,
voice,
yeah,
but
so-
I've just learning how to use VoiceOver in about the last week, and I'm totally confused, and this is why I'm watching you.
it is a tricky thing to learn, Pam. Okay,
So what do we go into to get the different voices?
the different voices, to do different voices, you have to use what's called the rotor. Okay, and
Rotor.
we're getting into a bit of a more technical side of things. So the rotor with VoiceOver, if I spin my finger as if I'm opening a bottle of lemonade or milk or something like that, like this,
It lines. Sounds.
it gives
of
me different
language,
things that I can change.
Characters.
Sorry, Gary, we couldn't see what you were doing.
I'm just twisting my finger,
Lines. Words.
Okay.
like I'm opening a bottle of
Speaking
milk.
Bits.
So two
Oh.
fingers, and I twist them.
Headings. Words.
Yeah.
Speaking rate. Sound.
And each time I do that, a different option is spoken out, and I can adjust that option with my up and down, with one finger up and down. It's quite tricky, Pam.
Right.
That's where the real power of this application comes in.
So I'll stick with the man I've got then, shall I?
I would stick with the one you've got. Have you got the one that I've got on here?
Sorry.
Yes, you have. You've got Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Daniel's okay.
I would stick with Daniel.
Bit.
Okay, thank you. I'll
Okay.
mute my voice
Heading.
again because my
Characters.
husband's here and we keep discussing things.
Now, how you
This is-
turn VoiceOver on and off, there's a number of ways you can turn VoiceOver on and off. Okay, I'll just close that for a second. The first way, and probably the easiest way, is to use Siri, which we'll talk about in a moment. So Siri is a personal assistant that's built into your iPad. It should be enabled by default. So when you set your iPad up, it should be enabled. And depending on what model of iPad that you have, you can invoke Siri by holding down the round home button at the bottom of the screen, or the power button on the side of the iPad. It would depend on the model. I'm hopeful that everyone's got one with a round home button on it. If I hold that down, I should get a tone, and that will indicate that it's listening to me. I'm going to turn VoiceOver off. Turn VoiceOver off.
Okay, I've turned VoiceOver off.
So that's turned VoiceOver off. So this is now just an ordinary iPad doing ordinary things. To turn it back on, I just ask Siri to turn it back on. Let's try it. Turn VoiceOver on.
Okay, I've turned VoiceOver on.
And VoiceOver is now back on. So that's the easiest way to do it. There's a caveat there, though. You need a Wi-Fi connection to do that. You can't do that without a Wi-Fi connection. The other way you can turn VoiceOver on and off in a fairly easy manner is to press the round button 3 times at the bottom of the screen quickly. I'll do it here.
VoiceOver off.
So my voice is now gone off. I'll press it 3 times quickly again.
VoiceOver off.
Okay. That's not speaking to me for some reason.
VoiceOver on. FaceTime.
Okay. So when I press that round button 3 times quickly, it turns VoiceOver on or off. You do have to set that up, that option. Okay. So let's have a look where we set that up. Open settings.
Settings. Dictionary. Button.
So we set this up. We're going to go to settings, and then down the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to find accessibility, or if you've got an older model, general, then accessibility. Let's go for accessibility.
Notifications. Sound. Focus. Screen time. Selected. General. Control. Display. Home screen and accessibility.
So there it is.
Button.
I'm going to select that.
Accessibility. Heading.
And right at the bottom
Keyboards.
of the accessibility section, there's an option called accessibility shortcut. I'll just get there quickly.
For app settings. Button. For app setting. Accessibility shortcut. VoiceOver. Button.
And there it is, accessibility shortcut. I'm going to go into that.
Accessibility. Back button.
Now in here, you have a range of accessibility features that you can turn on or off by pressing that home button 3 times quickly. So you could have magnification, for example, set to come on, or you could have the screen colors to change, or a whole range of things. But the one I've got it set to is VoiceOver. Now, these are like little tick boxes, and they're on or off. The only one that I've got set to on in this screen is VoiceOver. All the other ones are turned off. So if you were to do that on your iPad, just make sure that the VoiceOver one is turned on and all the others are off. You will then be able to press that round button 3 times quickly like this.
VoiceOver off. VoiceOver on.
So that's in settings, accessibility shortcut, and ensure that the only thing that's turned on is VoiceOver. If you had more than one thing turned on, a screen would pop up saying which one would you like to use. For example, magnifier or VoiceOver, and then you'd have to tap the appropriate one. So it's for ease of operation, it's best just to have one enabled. That's where I would go to do that. Now, I'm just going to come out of this screen.
Smart invert. With background sounds. Reorder assistive touch. Zoom. Configure and then click zoom. Page edit. Numbers. Keynote. iMovie. Triple click the configure and then accessibility shortcut. Heading. Accessibility. So for on the internet, if you find reading web pages particularly difficult, and that would hopefully include Hotmail, the lady mentioned Hotmail, then it would change the size of the text in Hotmail. So I'm going to just point out where you go to do this. So let's go to a web page first and find a web page that I can practice with. Please. Music. Easy Reader.
Open Safari.
Text field.
So let's go find something to play with.
Character mode. Type handouts and tutorials.
So this
Heading
is
level
the
1. Home. Right double right what bullet. List star.
so this is our website, and it's got the tutorials and stuff that you can download from our website. And as it stands, the text is pretty small. Okay, so I'm going to change that and then come back here and see what the difference is. So let's go back. I'm going to go into settings, open settings.
Hearing settings.
And I'm going to find
settings.
down the left hand side, I'm going to find the option called Safari. Let's have a look.
Keyboard. But numbers. Pages. Zoom. Verticals. Access of vision. VoiceOver. Zoom. Off. Button. Keyboard. Number. Pages. Zoom. Verticals. Accessibility. Clips. GarageBand. iMovie. Keyboard. Numbers. Pages. Zoom. Vertical scroll bar. Apples. TV. Game. Top.
There's a long list here.
Mute. Short measure. Map. Brand. Stop. New. Safari. FaceTime. Safari.
There it is.
Button.
So I'm going to choose Safari from this list of categories.
Safari. Heading.
And down the right hand side of the screen, we have the settings for Safari. Now there's one in here called Web Page Zoom. I'm going to find that quickly.
Allow show favorites but block pop-up extension download tabs selected compact tab open new tabs in back close tab allow Safari privacy and prevent cross hide IP and block all cookie fraudulent web privacy present check for Apple allow websites about Safari clear history and settings for web page zoom button.
Phew, it took a little while to get there, didn't it? But it's called Page Zoom, and it's under a heading called Settings for Websites. So I'm going to go into Page Zoom.
Select Safari, back button.
And in here, I've got a whole range of different sizes that I can choose as a percentage to increase the text by. So I'm going to choose 200%. Have a look.
Page Zoom, edit. Page zoom on all websites. Page zoom 50%, 80, so 200%.
Let's choose that.
200%.
And I'm going to go back to Safari and have a look at that website.
Apps, Mail, BBC, Safari, Site, Safari, Show Sidebar, button. Welcome to the tutorials and handout section, page 2 on 14.
So I'm going to ask Tricia here, because she's probably the only one that's got full vision. That text is much larger, Tricia. Would you agree? Trish?
Yes, sorry.
Is that
muted? Yes, it is larger.
Yeah, you can go really, really big with it. And it's quite good because you don't need to scroll the screen left to right. You just have to scroll the screen up and down. So it will make the pages longer, but you've only got to go up and down them, not across as well. So that can be quite a useful feature. It's called Page Zoom under the Safari options. And I quite like that. For me, it's no good, but I can appreciate that would help a lot of people changing that setting. Okay, I seem to have been gabbling on for quite a while. I've got one more thing to show people, but let's just take some questions. So we've got to close this down.
FaceTime.
So has anyone got any questions at the moment? Don't all rush at once. Pam, you got any questions? Shirley? Okay.
Sorry, I was muted again.
Okay.
I keep missing vital words that you say, so then we can't find it on the iPad. We're very new to this, and I'm getting totally confused.
I'm going to be sending out, Pam, a handout with the information in it.
Okay,
so
I can look at it in
yeah,
slow motion.
Yeah, you can work through it at your own pace.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But it
So-
sounds like you're giving me lots of useful information. Some things I could cope with magnified, but I need the voiceover. But I,
Yeah, VoiceOver, I think
needed,
it's brilliant.
when I was looking at emails, it listed emails, but I couldn't get it to read the whole thing. So I think you've explained that now.
Yeah, the thing is with iPads, they're different than iPhones, because in iPads you have a list down the left and something down the right that says they're split vertically. On an iPhone, they're just in one screen. So in many ways, it's easier to use an iPhone, but you know, iPhones are expensive, aren't they? So that's
Well, this is an iPad 10 that my son has given me. I have got an iPhone, but I thought I would just keep that for telephoning because and use the iPad for everything else.
okay.
But I'm not sorting it out very well yet.
It's difficult, and I think it will take some time to grasp. But
Mm.
once you've grasped it, I think you'll love it, because you can do anything with it. I do my online banking, online shopping. I do all my emails on it. Listen to the radio.
See, I have a desktop computer which I'm au fait with, been using for years, and it's wonderful. But we're soon going to Australia for a couple of months, and I want to, while I'm there, be able to access my emails and my bank account and you know, other things as well. And I still don't know how to sort out how to get my talking newspaper magazines, but that'll come later, and the local talking newspaper. So I want to be able to use my iPad while I'm in Australia for all the things I would normally use and plug in my MP3 player here at home, you know.
Yeah. I think the banking does take a little bit of setting up. You've got to get that set up properly. And so, you know, you might need someone to do that for you. But once you've done your banking, reading the actual statements and transferring money is quite easy.
Yeah.
You know.
And I need access to the independent travel advisor as well, who's booked everything for us, that will update us on flights and things. So I need access to all this that I can't have when I'm not at home.
Right. What I would suggest though is that anything to do with finances, you wear a pair of headphones.
Right.
So that people can't hear what you're doing.
No, sounds a good idea. Yeah. Thank you.
I recommend that.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to point out to you. Now, I've been using Siri here to do quite a bit of stuff. Now, Siri, you know, by holding down the round button at the bottom until either it makes a tone or displays a message. It only makes a tone if you're using VoiceOver. Okay. Right. But if not, you get a message that says, what can I help you with? So at that point, you can just speak to it. So you can say all sorts of things. So I open a lot of my apps with Siri. So I say, open mail, or open the news, or open Halifax banking, or that sort of thing. It just does it for me. So it can make things a bit easier for you.
Right. I
can send email messages with Siri really, really well. Let's have a go at sending an email with Siri, okay?
Yeah, we need to do that.
Send an email to Gary Eady.
What's the subject of your email?
Testing.
Okay. What would you like the email to say?
I'm just sending a very quick message to see how email works using Siri, full stop.
Okay, here's your email message to Gary Eady. It says, I'm just sending a very quick message to see how email works using Siri. Are you ready to send it?
Yes.
I think it's important.
Okay, I'll send it.
Okay, so you can send very quick emails using Siri, but you could
that's
also...
brilliant.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I want to be able to do. It's just,
So that feature, you can do on an iPhone, for example, you can say, send a text message.
That's
So on your iPhone, if you want to send somebody a text, you say, send a text message to, followed by the name of the person. It needs to be in your contacts list, the name.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it will say, okay, what do you want to say? So you just dictate it. And it will say, are you ready? Would you like to send it? And you say, yes, please, and off it goes. If you said no, it would save it as a draft copy. You can also say change to change the text you've just dictated, or you can say add to add some more to the email. So I'll just give you a demonstration of how you add some more, okay? So we can get a longer email. Here we go. Send an email to Gary Eady.
What's the subject of your email?
Another test.
Okay. What would you like the email to say?
I'm looking forward to a cup of tea.
Here's your email message to Gary Eady.
Okay, listen.
It says, I'm looking forward to a cup of tea. Ready to send it?
Add, I wouldn't mind some biscuits as well.
Okay, I updated the message. It now says, I'm looking forward to a cup of tea. I wouldn't mind some biscuits as well. Ready to send it?
Or maybe even a chocolate cake.
Okay, here's your email message to Gary Eady. It says, or maybe even a chocolate cake.
So I've just overwritten that.
Are you ready to send it?
No.
To continue, you can send, cancel, change subject, add, or change message.
Cancel.
Okay, I won't send it.
So really, you're having a conversation with Siri. He's asking you what you want to do, and you give him the answer. So I think that's really, really good, that feature, Siri. You can use it for lots of things. You can use it for the basic, you know, divide 63 by 19, all that sort of stuff. Let's just try that, shall we? Divide 63 by 19.
63 divided by 19 is approximately 3.3157.
I love the way it says approximately 3.5127. It's approximately 3.3, isn't it? Surely. But I use Siri for quite a lot of things. You can play radio stations, I believe, with Siri. Should we try it? Play Capital Radio.
Okay, here's Capital.
Our best price, which is why you won't find us on price comparison sites.
Okay. So, but to be fair, if you've got an Amazon Echo device or a Google speaker device, then you can do a lot of this on those devices. But the email is the really cool one, really good one. I'm going to go into an email and show you this.
Files, mail, 18 unread email.
So let's just find one.
Subject, from, but BC, seek to, add, send, new message, cancel, button.
Okay.
IT, who could AO, next message, previous mailboxes, subject, mailboxes, unread, Apple News, unread, Apple News.
Let's go try and find one.
Select, search, unread, Apple News, James May, what I really think of Jeremy Clarkson, 02/07
Right.
Selected.
So if I put the message, okay, I can actually reply using Siri. So at least I'm pretty sure I can. Let me just try it. Reply to this message.
What would you like your email to say?
Thank you very much for the information.
Here's your email message to newsdigest@incidpeople.apple.com. It says, thank you very much for the information. Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send it.
So if you've got an email and you want to reply to it, you don't have to necessarily use that keyboard. You can just ask Siri and say, reply to this message, and he will then allow you to dictate it. How does anyone find that?
Mail, 17 unread.
So I think that feature is one of my top features on using the accessibility features.
It just sounds perfect, because we were thinking about buying a keyboard, but if we used Siri, we wouldn't actually need a keyboard to type in the messages, would we?
No. I mean, it's still probably worthwhile getting a keyboard, to be honest with you. Because,
Right.
you know, it would be useful for other things, because you don't ordinarily use Siri to dictate web addresses and email addresses and stuff like that. But so keyboard would be quite good, but Siri can do a lot for you.
Right. do you recommend any particular
a keyboard? In fact, there is a keyboard that I've recommended to a lot of people. It's fairly small. In fact, I've got one here. Let me show you. I'm just going to bend down and find it under my table.
12 o'clock.
Here we go. So this keyboard here, you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is it upside down or the right way up? Let's have a look. That's right up. That is called a Logitech K380.
Very a multi.
Logitech
Logitech.
K380.
Logitech.
And the number is
K for kilo 380. It's around about £25.
Logitech.
It's a really good keyboard because the keys have got beautiful shape to them, and the lettering is reasonably large. You can connect this to 3 different devices at the same time.
Really?
So you can have it connected to your iPad, your iPhone, and maybe your laptop if you wanted to. But usually you're just going to connect it to your iPad, aren't you? And it's actually quite nice. The keys on it are quite nice. I've got a document on this. It's called on our website. I'll ask Rebecca to put it in the handouts.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a document called An Introduction to the Logitech K380 Keyboard. And it's assuming that you're using VoiceOver.
Yeah.
But it's about £25, Pam.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Amazon.
Thank you, Gary. That's
Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. What will we do with that Amazon?
Yeah. Amazon, or you can get it from Argos, I believe. If you wanted to go to a physical shop, Argos is pretty good, but I get most things from Amazon. The delivery is quite quick. The prices are competitive, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I would be looking at.
Just say with Argos, we needed a new Hoover because ours broke, and we ordered one at about 12 o'clock one day on the Argos site, and it was delivered to our local little Sainsbury's by 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Amazing, isn't it?
3 hours later, we were picking it up.
Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
If you have that Amazon Prime feature.
No, we don't.
Well, I don't either. I used to have it, but I wasn't getting as much out of it, really.
I use Amazon Smile so that the money goes to the talking
Amazon Smile
newspaper.
is where you can, whatever you spend, I think it's something like 0.5% of the profit goes to charity. You have to, you have to determine which charity you want it to go to.
Talking newspaper.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, mine goes to Cyprus Surrey, but you know everything you spend, and it works best if you get a lot of people doing it.
Mm.
Apparently, Amazon Prime is going up by £1 a month.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
very soon. So if anyone has got that,
yeah, Amazon Smile. So what you have to do is if you go onto Amazon's website, there is a link called Smile, and then you can specify a charity, and then when you load Amazon in the future, it will have the word smile in the address. So it'll be something like smile.amazon.co.uk. It just indicates that you're giving to a charity.
That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Site for Surrey, they've not got much money out of it, but around about £100 in the last 18 months, but we haven't got as many people using it as we should. You know, most people who are using Site for Surrey services should ideally set up Amazon Smile, but of course they don't know how to do it, do they? You know, and that's no criticism, but if people could do it, it'd be marvelous. Tricia, there's a little task for you.
I'm just writing it down, actually, Gary.
You could do the Macular Society, couldn't you, as your charity?
Well, if they're on it, yes, we could, or we could do Site for Surrey. But in our area, we're Sussex and Surrey, so Macular Society would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You know, whoever you want to give to, it could be anything. You know, so 0.5% of what I spend in a year isn't going to be a lot of money. But if it's 1,000 people, then it can mount up. Okay. So
I'll let the group know.
let them know. I'll try to do a bit of a document on how you do it. It will only be an email, Trish.
Oh, fabulous.
Because
That would be really useful because
yeah,
I've
I'll
never
try
done
to
it.
write it up.
I buy very little from Amazon. I don't like them as a company.
I probably spend, I don't know, £200 or £300 a year with Amazon. So it's not 0.5% of that is not much, is it really?
No, I spend a lot
I mean,
less.
this is probably finished now, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Just started lunch.
Yeah.
So I turned it went off and it came back on with still with the bowl. So it's obviously the bowl's going to stay there.
Oh,
the bowl
brilliant.
printing.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So some people spend a lot of money, you know, thousands of pounds a year on Amazon.
We've got egg.
Yeah.
Well, I'll pass that on because I've not heard. I heard of it, but I didn't know what it actually entailed. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazon Smile. Okay. Has anyone got any questions? Any not necessarily related to
Yeah, you
iPad?
got one.
You got a question, yeah?
I'm looking forward to the handout.
Okay. It's quite a lengthy handout because it's covering 6 different things. But the good thing about it is it gives you instructions all the way through on what.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I just need the time to sit and study and work it out.
Take some time, have a little go. You can't really do anything wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
It's just like a new world compared with the desktop, which I've been using, I don't know, since the year 2000.
What's your desktop, Pam? What do you know what it is? Is it Windows 10?
It's a Dell.
Is it Windows 10?
I don't know. It is 10, yes. I've recently had it upgraded.
Yeah. So I've got handouts on that on our website. There's handouts on the accessibility features built into Windows 10 as well.
All right. I actually just use the magnification, so I have a great big yellow cursor and magnify
that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
everything.
Yeah.
Because I can, sat at home, I can put my nose on it, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One thing you haven't said, or maybe I didn't hear, and in which case I apologise, was that, I mean, sometimes the print is absolutely tiny or text is tiny. And if you stretch the screen just for that little bit, and you don't want zoom for the whole of the text, that can be quite useful.
Yeah, the pinch and zoom, it's called, isn't it?
Yes.
I never have any joy with that, Trish. I never get it to work. Maybe it's just me.
I literally just spread my fingers out to enlarge it, to shrink it. And even if you've zoomed the text, some of it is a lot smaller and it can be difficult to read.
Yeah.
And if you have a difficulty with just one word, that or 2 words or whatever, then that can be quite useful.
Okay, thanks for that, Trish, because I sometimes forget about that, and it's actually quite quick, isn't it, to do that?
It's instant.
It's your thumb and your finger together, then separate them.
Yes, if you separate them, it enlarges things, and if you have to have 2 fingers on the screen, and if you pinch them in, it shrinks it back to its normal size.
Yeah.
And looking at photos, you can do that. So you can look at a detail on a photo, whether it be some writing on a photo or something that maybe you wouldn't otherwise be able to see if you've got some vision. It assumes you've got some vision.
Yeah.
I think I might have to go, Gary.
Okay, well, I think we're almost finished, to be honest, Trish, so thanks for
No,
coming along.
if my dear husband answers the phone, that's not the
I'll
one.
get the handout sent out to you. Okay.
No, I don't have to go just yet.
So, unless there's anything else anyone wants to ask, I know we've finished a little bit early, but I don't see why we should keep everybody here waiting on for anything else. I think we've covered what I wanted to cover.
One